We haven't played some of these songs for 25 years. So it became really a time to do it. You know, we were overdue. And I think it was very interesting as we started to rehearse, as we started to record, the synergy that happened. We immediately went back into some of those habits that, some of those musical combinations that we would feed off of each other 25, 30 years ago. They were still there now.
I hadn't revisited that music as a player in that much time. So it was also interesting to just hear how far everybody has grown and what they brought to the music now. You know, it was fun then when we were doing it in the mid to late 70s. But now with everybody's knowledge and wisdom and experience and life experiences and bringing all of that to it again, it made it really, really special.
Lee and I share similar musical backgrounds and motivations, but that's true for all of us.
I agreed to do it because we've done so many things for so many years together, including a lot of this same music through these various eras, starting in the 70s and actually a little before. So it's been a long haul with Lee, and I'm glad he asked me to do it.
I'm very excited about the project. It's an amazing opportunity to get the music out in all these different forms, and with this high quality of the high definition and the recording quality with my engineer Don Murray. And it really, it's an unusual project that it really has this history from the 70s, 80s, 90s into the current.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a documentation chronicling all of these years of some great music. And I feel honored to be a part of it.
I knew that this would be an important project because it would represent not just the moment of the music that we were doing, but it would kind of tell a little bit of a story about his career, and which parallels very much so a lot of the other people who participated.
Another section of music is very dear to my heart, the Brazilian music with Yvonne Lins that Dave Grusin and I established with Yvonne in 1985. One of the great songwriters from Brazil, and his songs have been recorded by just tons of people in this country. His latest one a couple years ago, Sting did, and won the Grammy for it. He's been a lifelong friend since we've met in '85, and it's great to bring him back from Brazil and do some of his tunes.
It's really an honor, you know. When Lee called me and said, "Ivan, you want to be part of it?" "No, I want you." And I said, "Oh, God, thank you very, very much." Junora was recorded the first recording in the United States was by Mr. George Benson, you know, produced by Quincy Jones. The album Give Me the Night. And in that album, Lee played another song with George that was Love Dance. So Lee met my music in that project, and so he got a fan, and so I want to meet Ivan, and so he decided to do Junora because it was the song he was. I didn't play that song in that recording, so he decided to do it now.
That's what I love about this setting, is that you see it from the musician's perspective. You see this intimacy of what everyone brought to each other. And but it is a special combination of musicians. Foreplay, the group I was in, was exactly like that with the original four members, and we had that same kind of synergy where we could just four musicians became the combination became greater than any of the individuals. It became like a sound, and that's of course what a great band is. In the case of these groups of musicians, there was quite a few different combinations, but every one of them I had that trust in. So somebody asked me, gosh, you haven't played Captain Fingers in 25 years, Lee. That's a hard tune. How was it? And I said, well, it's still hard, you know. And they said, well, could you play it as good now as you did then? I said, that's not a fair question, because back then we played it every Tuesday night for 5 years, you know. So give me that club again every Tuesday night for the next 5 years, and then record it, and it'll be fine, you know. But actually, surprisingly enough, it was great anyway, because it all just kind of came back.
It's so nice to hear this, to see this, to feel this, because it's for me, it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual music. It's like 5, 6, or 7 people in one room negotiating, having a communicating with one another through their instruments, coming up with ideas, not knowing where one is going to go from one moment to the next, but the journey is the cool thing about it.
We'll start the song kind of straight up, and like you say, we start to go off and off, and then it comes back in different ways. And what's great about this project, you can see it on the video, you can see that interplay and you can see that communication going on.
That moment when everyone is connected, there's complete trust. So the person who is the soloist can just express themselves, knowing that everyone else that's accompanying them is reacting based upon, a particular idea and expression. And it sounds to the listener a lot of times, when everybody's really on the same page, that they all go off in these completely different directions. But at its best, everyone knows where they are at all times. At all times. Then, when the moment is right for us to kind of reel it back in a little bit and relate it to where we took off, where the journey took off, to relate it again to the idea, the original idea, it's magical.
What I've really enjoyed doing in the last few years is also cultivating a lot of young players and seeing their talent and feeling like a talent scout, and I guess I've actually, even when I was in my 20s and then 30s and 40s and now I'm 50, there was always that part of me that always knew how to find other great musicians, and sometimes they weren't well known at that time, and they joined my band and later went on to do, really big things. It's exciting to have this quality of a project with these great musicians. People say, oh yeah, that's right, wow, they're playing together, they're interacting, they're like, wow, they can really play their instruments, and it's great music, So I think that's important for a young audience to see this too, because I think the young audience is kind of forgetting that or maybe they don't even know that it still exists,
As far as young people are concerned, I think that's a possibly an untapped market for this kind of music. I know some kids who didn't grow up with this, but when they hear it, their ears pick up, so I think that's a definite possibility.
I really do think people would or younger people would enjoy it more if they were exposed to it. They're not really exposed to it. There's no outlet for them to even hear it. So something like this being in the market, I think, is just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I think it really will enhance jazz for people to see the excitement that's created and the spontaneity that happens on the spot. So I think it'll be great for new audiences to see that haven't taken the chance or taken the time to go into a club. So I think it'll be great.
It's amazing. It's such a great music. It's great players. I think that's the people that loves music. It's going to enjoy this project totally. It's just for people that loves music.
There's a lot more than what's going on now. I mean, we have the pop culture, everybody's into what they're, but man, there's nothing like carrying on a conversation with your bandmate.
I think the sophistication of our music was going to have a nice niche there, because there's a lot of people out there that don't want to hear this stuff.
Lee asked me to give him a couple of examples of where my vocal texture was so that he could see which songs he wanted me to sing background on, or if he wanted me to do some lead. And I gave him that CD, and a couple of days later he called me up and asked me if he could do it. And I couldn't believe it.
And I kept hearing about this young lady, Acuña Hathaway, and I knew she was the daughter of the very, very, very famous Donny Hathaway and the sister of Layla Hathaway. So I called her up and I said, I've got this project happening in 2 weeks and I need somebody now. And I said, I've heard that you're quite talented. And I said, can you send me your demo reel? So she sent me the reel, and she came over and she introduced herself, and we jammed a little bit in my studio, and I listened to her CD, and I said, you're on, you're hired.
Kenya's voice to me obviously is an extension of her father, Donny Hathaway. And she sounds like her dad, and her voice to me is very spiritual.
There was just such a warm feeling to be performing with people that I've been listening to all of my life, that have played with my father and that I grew up listening to around the house. So I got into it. I really enjoyed it, and I will never live this down. I'll never live this experience down. It was just amazing.
This was a wonderful experience to set up the stage as we did. Normally, you know, you're all on a flat across a stage and you're looking out at an audience who's a little distance away. And this way, where we played in a circle and we played in kind of this unplugged kind of environment, and you know, you don't know if it's a studio, you don't know if it's somebody's house, a living room, a club, and we're not going to tell anyone, you know, because it doesn't matter. It ended up being an incredible environment, and once I explained to the musicians on the phone, to Dave Grusin, to Patrice, to Harvey Mason, to Ernie Watts, Anthony, Oscar Seat, and Melvin Davis, all the guys, I said, this is going to be a little different. You know, you can invite a few people, but we're not really concerned about the audience. We're going to play to each other in kind of a circle. And they said, really? That's fantastic. You mean just like when we're rehearsing over at your house? I said, yeah, just like that.
The way that this was done, with us kind of all sitting around each other, and you know, that's the way we usually work. Now, most people would say, well, no, I go to a concert and you're over there and he's over there and he's on a riser and he's down here and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's the way we've been known to present it. That's been the way it's been presented for years and years and years. But with the technology that we have now, the things that we have now, I think one of the things that's important is for people to be able now to use the technology to allow us to feel more.
Because in some cases, live things sometimes mean concerts, arenas, with stacks of amplifiers and a lot of noise and a lot of volume and so forth, in an attempt to incite a crowd to madness, you know. Or there's the club situation, which is all kind of intimate and close and acoustic, and this is somewhere in between. This is a totally different experience.
It is about the experience of the music, not just hearing the music. It's experiencing the music with the knowledge that you are witnessing something for the first and the last time. It will never be as it is at that moment. And what a joy it is, you know, for everybody to have an opportunity, at least for an hour or two, to operate completely in the moment. It's great.
This type of get-together, with or without the production going on, is just rare.
A soloist like Lee, who's you know, among the elite, he has to be able to find people who can play, who can support his desire to play.
We've still got that childlike fun. You know, it was just so much fun, you know, just jamming with Dave and Patrice and Ernie and Harvey and Anthony and the new guys and Kenya and the young ones and the old ones. It was just fun, you know, and that's what music's supposed to be.
There's nothing more fun than playing with other musicians that you respect and enjoy, and the reunion aspect of it is fun too. You know, all of these guys going way back.
Being with all these guys, you know, it was such a pleasure.
It's something so fresh and something so alive about it that I think that it will transcend like a barrier, like a musical barrier. It was fun. It was fun and it felt good. And that's all people really need.
I think you can see, you can feel that we belong playing together. There's no doubt about that.
Very, 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 very loose. The people were having a great time, so it was very comfortable. I had a ball. It was fun to do.
So I think that it will be inspirational for a lot of people. And you know what? It'll be fun. And if that's all that it does, if it brings people a few hours of enjoyment, it was worth every second.
I think for me, if this project can do something, I'd like to have it show that music can reach all different kind of boundaries, and that it can all happen on the same stage in the same day, all at the same time.